Alright guys, here we are. Another year, another popular female protagonist, and another younger sister friend duo hero with a brave weapon, and probably pretty powerful. But is she worth it? Let's find out.
Let the lesson begin.
What's up guys, Akariss here, bringing you another Fire Emblem Heroes video. Today's video is the Should You Pull video for Ninja Training, featuring all the characters there on the left. We have gone through some impressions, we took a look at Shamir, and in today's video we're going to basically look at Ninja Corrin. I'm not really going to look at the other ones because I like to focus on one character per banner and ultimately help you guys decide whether Ninjorin is worth your orbs, maybe now or in the near future. And that is definitely something to consider. As someone who currently has 1331 F2P orbs with about 300 per month, it becomes pretty difficult to know exactly when to pull the trigger. I'm going to help you guys also come to a similar conclusion based on my own experience as well. So before we jump into this, smash the like button and sub if you haven't already. Always helps out the video and I do appreciate it, and I notice it. Thank you guys. If you've already summoned, then this video probably wasn't for you anyways, because you were likely to decide without it. If you have summoned and you regret it, then you probably should just be a bit more patient in the future. Always goes a long way. So let's talk about this banner and what it means. First off, there is no spark, there is no 40 summons to guarantee a character, so that is important that you know your odds, you know the statistics. We are playing a gacha game, it ultimately has a lot of gambling involved. If you wanted just a single Ninjorin, she can, generally speaking, not cost too many orbs because green is easier to get 5 stars than all the other colors. This is because the green pool is less saturated. There's less 5 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. The whole math and specifics is covered in a different video, but generally speaking, green is the easiest to get a 5-star focus in. Therefore, ultimately, you'll spend less orbs targeting her, and she can be impactful, as you'll no doubt see throughout this video. So, I know she's a popular character, I know she's a cav, I know she has a brave weapon. Those are all pretty good things, but keep in mind, still, quite a few of us will end up spending more than 200 orbs to try to get a copy here, just a single one, and that can be a hard hit for many. Now, if you do decide in the long term to go for a plus 10 variant, it obviously costs a lot more orbs. Almost about a year or so of saving orbs, or about 10 months, 9 months of saving orbs if you were to plus 10 one duo unit, assuming you did get a bad result. So keep that in mind. But the most important thing to consider, and if there is one thing you take away from this video, guys, it's that there are a couple of things that would suggest that Ninja Corrin could very well end up on the Hero Rises banner, either as a winner or at least top 4. But with that being said, there's no guarantee. There's definitely going to be more characters with maybe more recency bias, or she may just not make it or not win the top 8 voting gauntlet situation. So I wouldn't depend on that, but there is a solid possibility. And my logic for this is Ninja Lyn is a ninja. She's a brave character. She was really powerful. Legendary Corrin was already there, so Corrin is very popular. Take the whole ninja element, take Corrin, and you have a likely candidate for winning or at least making it to a Hero Rises banner for the next year. So if you want to be patient and wait about 4 or 5 months, there's a good possibility that she ends up there. That could guarantee you a copy, and maybe she shares with something good, maybe Legendary Byleth, Bridal Catria, just to name a few, maybe Dogger, or someone else that's new and green could also end up on Hero Rises to share and therefore provide you even better value for that banner. I want to add though that this banner isn't too bad if you also do want see dual flying 4, because anytime you don't see a green orb, which can happen, you could end up getting a colorless dual flying for as like a pity break or like an alternative copy to pick up while summoning for Corrin. So there's definitely some reasons here or there. Another thing to realize is she is the second 195 base stat total treated unit as a dual character. This is really important for those of you that do want to optimize your arena experience. She's a good character. She comes with Far Trace. She self-dances. It's like Ninja. I wouldn't necessarily call Corrin better than Ninja, nor would I call Ninja better than Corrin. They have different matchups and different utility. For example, Ninja's colorless, even matchups. The flyer favored arena maps can definitely favor Lyn. Lyn has access to Disarm Trap, which is great for AR, but Corrin can use 3 movement, Far Trace, etc. plus the true damage. So there's a lot of like back and forth here. I'm not going to just objectively say that Corrin's better than Ninja. I think they're both very powerful for different reasons. Nonetheless, you don't have to summon for her here. She will come back on double special probably half a year from now and very likely to show up on Hero Rises. So if I was to tell you, yeah, she's going to be good in pretty much all modes. Arena, AR offense, AR defense, and PvE content. Very solid unit, very impactful. I could see it. All right, now taking a look at Ninja Corrin and her stat spread and her weapon that she comes with, you'll notice right away that it is a very heavy offensive favored stat spread. I'm talking like high attack, high speed, low HP, defense, and res. This is to be expected. And considering she is a Tome Cavalier, that is ultimately one of the lowest amount of stats that can be given to a unit in this game, day and age, but it's still very, very strong in attack and speed, which will help her exactly on how this weapon functions and some of the builds that I will showcase. So her weapon is pretty much what you'd expect. Brave weapon, gives speed, takes away some bulk, but doesn't have slaying, which is the alternative to what Ninja had, and trades that for true damage. So you effectively, as long as she's faster than other units, is going to do up to 7 extra damage per hit. That can go up to like 28 extra true damage, which is really powerful and a fair trade for the slaying effect if you ask me. So Ninja Corrin will be very powerful in many modes. And the first way that I think most people who might pick up a one-off copy may consider using Ninja Corrin is what I would showcase right here in a moment, which is the AR offense, some sort of Wings of Mercy setups. So using Ninja Corrin, you can go through a couple of different variants if you're low merge or one-offs, where I would suggest maybe considering a trait fruit and giving her an attack boon and minus HP. Negative. This is very good because you can run stuff like Fury 4 or potentially Ardent Sacrifice if you combine her with Winter Bernie, or Duma is on the enemy team to give you some splash damage. This is really good because it can set up her going in, sniping some units. With Far Trace, you can even retreat a little bit, get dance, go kill another unit. Ideally, you pick off all the dual heroes on the enemy team for air offense. You can self-dance, get that third hit in, and she will end up at perfect Wings of Mercy range for the rest of your team to come clean up through ideally some form of Gale Force, either or. Now, Ninja kind of does the same thing, so this isn't anything new, and there are definitely some pros and cons. For example, Far Trace could be really nice, especially since she's a cav, that she doesn't need to fully utilize her 3 movement, and with like a smite, she can definitely just pull back, get dance, and then go snipe another unit. But she is going to get kind of like deterred by traps on the enemy team. So again, pros and cons, but that mobility can definitely be pretty useful. Additionally, Ardent Sacrifice with Duma or Winter Bernie is something you could have pulled off with Ninja anyways, but Corrin can do it as well. In fact, at a +1 with no flowers, it's still possible to use Ardent Sacrifice, take off 10 HP on turn 2, get upheaval damage, and then go in with some recoil damage, whether that's push 4 or Fury 4, snipe some kills, and set up. So I do actually appreciate Ninja Corrin on air offense. I think she can potentially be better than Ninja, at least because she's hitting res and she's green. So common things on defense like Far Save, Brave Hectors are going to be pretty annoyed to be trying to tank something like this, especially since she has true damage, color advantage, and an incredibly high offensive stat spread. There's definitely some things you could change. You could run like Savage Blow, for example, in the C slot. Doesn't necessarily have to be Joint Drive. In fact, Joint Drive mostly won't get its value there. The seal being attack, defense, push on 3 mythics is intentional because it does give you that extra point of recoil combined with Fury 4 on 3 combats to bring her at half HP. So that isn't a meme, that's actually intentional there. But yeah, so if you run that one off, you can set up something like this pretty nicely and potentially sweep teams. And if you combine that with someone like Marianne, dual Peony, you're gonna be in an even better spot. But it's not just AR offense for sure, and I do think she has a great place in AR defense as well. So with AR defense, the 3 ways, or mostly 2 ways I could see you using Corrin, it's not really that crazy in any way. It's her base kit is strong, like you don't even need to really change that much. You could throw her on defense with her base kit and she's gonna end up killing things. However, if you want to optimize, I do actually recommend taking off the trace skill. It doesn't really do too much in defense, and subbing it out for a lull skill where it's a bit better. Lull speed res is pretty good, but I think lull attack res is also solid. You don't really need to speed stack too hard, but this ultimately can depend on your fodder or mythics that you pair her up with. ARD attack speed 4 or 3 is still going to be really good and something I could highly recommend for defense in really pushing the ceiling and how much power she can do. However, if you do go for some merges and ideally flowers for investment, or you have mythics that are bumping up her defense and res, it isn't too much of a meme to consider bumping up her bulk to pretty high standards. If you actually bump up her bulk enough, she is capable of surviving Henriette, Vector, Fallen Edelgard. All of these characters actually become they actually will start to struggle to kill Corrin, and Corrin is still going to get a lot of damage into those characters because of true damage. Even Henriette can take up to 28 damage guaranteed by Corrin because of her weapon, and this is almost certain. So by being able to survive, you'll set up Wings of Mercy chains, you can apply something like Fatal Smoke, and ultimately have a better enemy phase for her too, because she'll be harder to snipe when people try to kill her on their turn. So that's not a full meme. You can really depend on the true damage to get a lot out of it. Remember, she's a green unit, not a colorless, so her matchups will be favored in one way or another, and giving her bulk is not a bad idea if you have access to it. Finally, if you do bring her up to full +10 arena, you honestly don't need to change much. You could just give her Ruptured Sky and she's good to go. Again, Fart Trace is really good in arena. Push 4 is still going to be really good. Joint Drive is really good. Blade Session is pretty much all you need. But if you want to optimize just a little bit, you could consider stuff like Wind Sweep in the B, although you'd forego mobility. Defense, you could do this too, AR defense. Or Catch 4 in the A slot, or Blade Session in the A slot. These are essentially going to just give you more attack and speed, which she will appreciate. Now, as a final kind of kicker here for AR defense, if you feel like Henriette is giving you a lot of trouble, then you can actually opt for a miracle build with ARD speed res. If you choose to do this, Corrin will 100% survive Henriette. And the reason for that is because as long as she's surviving the first hit, which usually isn't special based, and she's not running any sort of stance 3 or guard effect, which usually they're not, they tend to be distant defense 4, distant defense 3 seal, as the Henriettes I see, you can give her speed res, lower her damage output a little bit, and guarantee a survival because she'll take one hit, hit Henriette 4 times for 28 true damage. She won't do any damage, but she'll do 28 true damage, and then survive with 1 HP on a miracle, and 100% guarantee a Wings of Mercy setup, or just surviving and being really annoying. So I would recommend this if Henriette is giving Ninja Corrin a problem. It can definitely put them on the back foot. And if you're not really, if you don't believe me on this sort of thing, of course, I brought some sims to show you. So there's the base kit Corrin with a Henriette, doing Henriette stuff, I guess. She's just base kit pretty much with distant defense 4, distant defense 3, enabling all her stuff, even giving her a res boon and a res refine, sure. This is the second Ninja Corrin, again, pretty much just base kit, but subbing out her A skill for speed, ARD speed res found on Mercedes, giving her Miracle and potentially Mirror Strike against +1 Henriette again. So the idea here is the base kit Ninja Corrin has no chance of surviving, absolutely none. And there isn't even a point in keeping that attack and speed for this matchup. You can actually just sub out the attack speed push 4 and sub in ARD speed res. She'll still do the exact same amount of damage, but the difference being here that she is much more likely to survive against Henriette because of Miracle and because of that extra res. This is backed up even further in the right combinations of mythics. But it is a very notable matchup that I would highly consider with Ninja Corrin on defense, which is just giving her Miracle, buffing up her bulk a little bit, and taking care of one of the more common far safe armors for sure. Okay, guys. Finally, we approach the last part of the video here, which is the would you pull section by the community. And here I want to talk about what you guys have submitted to me. If you don't know what this is, basically on YouTube, on the community tab, you guys vote in what you plan to do with your orbs or banner, and on my Patreon as well, if you want to support the content. I also have it there, combined with my Discord, where the community give in their input on what they plan to do. So first comment, as you can see on my left here, is by Meta Knight, who says, I voted no, only free summon circle, but whether I go in this banner will entirely depend on how my summons for Legendary Corrin go, as I need 2 more copies of her to +10. Additionally, I'll be sparking on the Forging Bonds rerun banner for a Student Marianne merge. Always good to have a plan, is what I say. Because if you don't, you'll just feel obliged to summon for no reason. Ninja Female Corrin may be a potential future merge project for many reasons. She likely has 195 BST scoring, that's true. She has the same busted dual skill Ninja Lyn has. Pretty good. She herself is really good, but the most important reason that I like her is I'm not heavily invested into any version of her until Legendary version came out. I hope she wins the Hero Rises or at least gets into its banner next year so I can go in with the merges. If I do end up going in, I'll only go in for 1 copy. So I completely agree. Goals and knowing exactly what you want to do are important. I'm in a pretty similar scenario right now where I need 2 Ninja Lyn copies, and I'm eyeing the idea of potentially finishing my Legendary Corrin, who's at +8 right now and could be +10. However, with the release of Ninja Corrin and her likeliness to win Hero Rises or at least show up on the banner there, makes me think that it might not be a bad idea to commit early here and then finish her on Hero Rises if that happens, or at least finish her in double special. So again, good ideas, give or take. So Volt says, I think I'll just resummon and go back to saving. Just because there's decent fodder on the banner doesn't mean there won't be better fodder down the line. This is actually very important to consider. A lot of people might see the banner at the present moment and forget that a lot of skills do eventually end up in the permanent pool as something to be sparked. So forget push 4, but like trace skills and far save and all that eventually becomes permanent pool, becomes something you can guarantee as fodder. And I would never really recommend like summoning on these banners to try to pick up fodder. I think the one exception, of course, is the dual skills, where I don't feel like IS will transition them into permanent pools, so that sucks, and it is ultimately a gamble. But nonetheless, everything else is not something you should be like targeting hard. Special Spiral can be picked up at a pretty decent discount here, and I won't dismiss that idea, but for the most part, everything else should be cautioned. Next up is a comment by Cagnes, who says free summon only. This is not the Ninja banner I'm looking for yet. Still need to get 2 Ninja copies before thinking about Corrinja. Only if she ends up on the Hero Rises banner. More interested by Shamir from Tempest Trial, even though long term she's worse than Balthus because doomed not to get a refine. Okay, to be fair, it would take like 4 years until Balthus gets a refine. So, anyways, reasoning being that he chooses his favorites, solid reasoning, and didn't build Cowlick or Ninja Hannah, and had built Echidna. So it's been a while since Echidna was relevant. She scores much less, and therefore Shamir is a solid upgrade. I did cover Shamir in yesterday's video, so go check that out if you want to understand where she lies. She's not like a great upgrade to many characters, but she definitely can help quite a few people. Finally, a comment on YouTube by Mario says, no spark equals no secured unit, which is absolutely true. We are so close to November that I feel it might be better to wait if something is announced in a FEH channel in Book 6. This is super important and something I didn't even mention throughout this video. This banner lasts a whole month, guys, and we're on the cusp of Book 6, which this banner will likely be long enough around to at least tell us what's coming, and therefore, if you have your orbs ready to make a choice between that or this, it's important to think about. So, completely agree. None of the units are tempting, although they did get special spiral at a 4-star special. So yeah, I'm glad to see that the community is pretty resilient about getting baited by this sort of thing. Power to you guys, well done. A lot of people know exactly what they're summoning for. You know, the game's been around long enough that maybe we're just conditioned at this point to know what we want and what we don't want, which is really good. In the nature of a gacha and a lot of gambling like this, it's important that you know exactly what it is. So with me, of course, I am saving for Ninja Lyn and Ninja Corrin. I also want to see what Book 6 has, and this banner lasts a whole month. So by the end of it, I may make a choice to commit to Ninja Corrin, at least maybe a copy or two, maybe not, or commit to Book 6 stuff, who knows. But nonetheless, the one thing I have to complete here is Ninja Lyn, and maybe Legendary Corrin if he doesn't share for a while with something that I want. That basically covers everything in this video, guys, so thank you, as always, for watching. Smash the like button and sub if you haven't already. If you enjoy this content and you hopefully love me too, then the best thing you can do is join these kind people on Patreon in the description below, and that would mean a lot to me. Thank you, guys. See you in the next one. Much love. Peace.
It's over.